Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, the latest on COVID-19, including an important update for Nipissing Parry Sound from the health unit. Business is booming. And as well, Clark Heipel needs a swing doctor. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this edition, Wednesday, of Cogeco News. I'm Greg Esterbrooks. We start off the newscast, as we often do, with the latest COVID-19/coronavirus latest statistics from the Nipissing Parry Sound District Health Unit. And today, 2 more confirmed cases to add to the list as we go to the statistical board. 162 tests were done. 24 cases now in total, 18 resolved. Sadly, 1 fatality, 5 in self-isolation as of May the 20th. And again, the change is 2 more positives. Meanwhile, the city of North Bay is lifting some restrictions that relate to outdoor recreational activities or amenities in accordance to the province's Stage 1 reopenings. This includes expanding access to parks and open spaces and allowing the use of benches, picnic tables, and shelters. Access to municipal parks and open spaces had been limited to walking, running, or riding bikes through. That has changed. Examples of activities that are now permissible include sitting alone or with members of your household, personal fitness, playing catch, or kicking a ball. And just like that, we've skyrocketed into summer. Temperatures are rising, and we are being blessed with plenty of sunny skies this entire week and more to come. Area garden stores are cashing in as Stage 1 of the coronavirus reopening is underway, allowing foot traffic in stores. And there's lots of it. Clark Heipel has more.
Well, Greg, just like that, we are in summer conditions in the spring 2020. And as we turn the seasons on a dime, folks are overflowing to garden centers in North Bay and surrounding area. Now, these operators of the garden centers, Lori at Laporte's, Case at Lemmy's, as well as Deb and Bob here at Burroughs, they have to abide by provincial guidelines to allow only so many people into the store and ensure that folks are socially distant while shopping. We head inside Burroughs to check out just how busy it is.
What are we after today?
Black sunflowers.
From potted plants to seeds, all types of greenery flying off the shelves as folks just itching to get their hands dirty in the soil. Amid the COVID pandemic, safety must be number one.
What we've done is we've limited the number of people in the garden center. We have somebody at the gate, we're disinfecting carts, we're disinfecting hands, and we just have to watch to make sure that, there's a certain space between people. Actually, I have to say, people have been fantastic. Like, we don't even have to say anything. People are just following their own sort of guidelines and rules. So that part has been really, really good. Inside, we're not letting anybody inside the store. And I think our staff and I think customers actually are appreciative of that. I think people are still a little apprehensive. So that part's going well. But honestly, the weather has just turned on a dime. And as soon as it got nice and warm, we've been inside for forever, so everybody wants to get outside. It's been very busy.
Now, we've skipped spring, like you said, right to summer. What does that mean for the growing season in terms of planting and trying to get plants to hold them to the ground?
You know what? This year, everybody's fine. Normally, some people swear by the long weekend in May. Most people go by the first full moon in June. The long weekend was really early this year. So last weekend was okay weather-wise, but this weekend is going to be bumper. So I would say you can start things. You're not too late to start by seed for many vegetables. Start them in the garden. We're just starting to get a really good selection of plants in. Having said that, things are at a bit of a premium this year. Some of the growers have cut their crops, like their growing crops, in half, had an issue with staffing. So it's more difficult and challenging to get things that we normally get that people are looking for. So I've sort of said to people, if you see something you like, take it, because there's no guarantee.
Is it safe to say it's a healthy competition amongst garden centers like Lemmy's and Laporte's? Because it seems like there's plenty of crop to go around. Everybody's packed right now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? If we don't have something, we definitely refer to Laporte's and Lemmy's. We're all in the same boat. We're all independent, so we all sort of watch each other's backs. And we get customers coming in raving about the product at Lammy's and Laporte's. And so, you know what, everybody's been, I think, very, very helpful. And I think that helps, right? We're a community. That's what it's all about.
What's the hot item right now? What's flying off the shelf?
Do you know what? Cucumber plants. Can't get any. We have had everybody in looking for cucumber plants. That's the biggie. Hopefully, we're going to have some in next week. Fingers crossed, and we'll see. But again, not too late to plant them by seed.
Now, your husband, Bob, took the afternoon off and went golfing. How did he manage that?
You know, Clark, that's a very good question. Something we might discuss tonight.
More on golf later. Many things to talk about in this week's edition of the Chamber Chat with Clark and Patty Carr from the North Bay and District Chamber of Commerce. First, retail outlets finally able to reopen, at least if you're facing a street, enhancing foot and auto traffic in the city of North Bay, and a lot of people noticed that. However, the specter of COVID-19 is keeping the Canadian-United States border more or less closed to virtually every kind of traffic, an impact that could be felt all the way to North Bay.
Patty Carr of the North Bay and District Chamber of Commerce is certain that there will be major economic impact from the lack of travel from Canada to the U.S. and vice versa. However, certain things are still getting across.
Where people are still doing trade by phone, by orders online, that type of thing, and the product is still getting across the border. The problem is if you think you have staff that want to go across to sales, that kind of thing, you know what, they're being precautious, and I definitely agree. We have to be careful. Our numbers are, sometimes fluctuating, going a little up, but the United States, there's a lot of differences between the different states, and of course, we got to protect our own.
In terms of tourism, Ontario has it all, from rolling hills to golf courses. We have everything, and a lot of Americans come up and enjoy what Ontario has to offer. However, safety has to be first.
Absolutely, and tourism is huge for us. And you know what, it's unfortunate, but I don't think there's a lot of areas around the world that are tourist destinations. They're all hurting right now, especially in Canada. But you know what about staycations? What about our own people traveling instead of abroad, staying home for a change, and visiting different parts of Canada? It's wonderful.
From all indications, phase one of the Ontario government reopening the province is going well. We're still waiting on some more data. What are you hearing from local businesses who have been able to partially reopen?
Some, of course, yes, have partially reopened, looking at different ways of doing business, of course. We put out a list this morning of different members that have PPE or safety supplies that they can go to, so they don't have to order online, that kind of thing. We do have it locally, so that's a good step, and they do have to prepare their businesses for reopening, whether it's limiting the number of customers, putting lines on the floor, that type of thing, and just at the end of the day, protecting themselves, protecting their employees, and protecting their clients.
What are you hearing from the business owners who are not part of phase one? They're still waiting to get the word. They're chomping at the bit. They need to make money.
Well, they're anxious to open up, and if it all goes well for 2 weeks, we might see phase two open up in some of our service industries. Yes, they are excited to get back to work, but they're going to be there to support their clients as well, and they're going to put all the precautions in place. Again, they are in the preparing mode, I guess you could say, and of course we look forward to them opening, but slow and steady.
And if you are to close your eyes and just listen, the streets are louder.
Absolutely. I don't come downtown very often, which I hate to say, but our office is closed, and I'm seeing more people out, especially with the great weather. It is a little bit busier downtown, but there's opportunities for you to shop still. You can do it online. Some are still doing curbside. They're just preparing to open and do it safely.
And lastly, from a chamber perspective, typically it's golf fundraisers and awareness pieces. What's the chamber going to be doing this summer, keeping COVID in mind?
The chamber usually has our annual golf tournament. We've been speaking with the golf course. Of course, it would look like a very different tournament. You can't have your lunches and your dinners as normal. There's a lot of charities out there that actually rely on their golf tournaments for the summer, and if they can push them back into the late summer, fall, I hope that they can. But those are large fundraisers for charities. So the chamber is still on the of the mindset that, you know what, maybe let those go forward, and we'll figure out ours at the end.
Lastly, I wanted to touch on Clean Green Beautiful. Harriet Madigan and her group, chamber sponsored and chamber approved. What's your thought on Harriet and what she does for this community?
Oh, Harriet is a wonderful lady. She calls me quite often, and I'm sure you get those calls. But thank you to all the volunteers that have been out there, and yourself, Clark, for going up and doing cleanups in different areas. The decals came out, and that's a really great promotion for Clean Green Beautiful. And of course, Harriet is a champion for this, and we've had to reorder garbage bags.
Yes, we all get calls from Harriet. A different kind of seed planting going on Wednesday. The Seeds of Gratitude Committee is composed of individuals from the robotics team, First Team 1305. Different members are bringing gifts of appreciation to frontline workers in North Bay and surrounding communities who may not be typically recognized for their dedication. We caught up to one of them at one of their many stops on Wednesday. A little ingenuity this day by a group that's known for it. First Team 1305 is making the rounds, rewarding businesses and local manufacturing outlets for their efforts in fighting COVID-19. Many stops were made on Wednesday, the first at G&P Welding. G&P Welding made a still that was used to manufacture hand sanitizer.
It was created by Amber Lay, a local entrepreneur and a mentor of Team 1305. She wanted to recognize some frontline workers in our community who typically weren't recognized for their dedication. So G&P Welding is we wanted to recognize them for their dedication during these times. They shut down production to help a local company create hand sanitizer for frontline workers. We are giving them a little gift from local entrepreneurs, donated gifts, so we could put it in a little cup. There's a button in there that has a superhero on it wearing 3 different essential worker uniforms to show that all essential workers are heroes and they should feel like it too.
And the employees at G&P Welding are happy to be honored, but feel humbled by it and don't see themselves as heroes.
It's a group of us that helped build a still for another company in town here for hand sanitizer. It's fantastic. It's it's nice to be recognized for working through these tough times.
And that was Kirk Brown from GNP. Back with much more right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Fundraising comes in many different ways. Local realtor Ron Peugeot wanted to give a little back, a little bit of hair back, in a hair raising or actually hair removing decision. Peugeot wanted to raise money between $500 and $750 for the food bank by getting his head shaved. It was a, wait for it, heady decision. And in fact, as of Wednesday, Peugeot says almost $3,000 was raised. Ron Peugeot getting a special haircut at home on Saturday, hoping to raise $750 for the food bank. Well, as of late Saturday afternoon, he was over $2,500 raised as granddaughter Emma did her duty, shaving him completely down to the skin.
I am totally surprised. I was hoping to collect somewhere between $500 and $750 initially, and at this point, I kept raising my goal, and I believe good possibility I'll be over $2,500 that I've collected. So extremely happy with all the donations that people have given, and the help I've had from a number of people who have contacted their friends, etc.
And why did Peugeot choose granddaughter Emma to perform the hair removing stunt?
Well, being a granddaughter, and she did cut her dad's hair and her brother's hair, and when I asked her, she didn't hesitate one little bit.
Were you worried about her maybe doing some damage to your beautiful, beautiful melon?
Do you want me to be honest about this? Yes, of course I was worried.
It was about 2 weeks ago, I would say. He was talking about wanting to cut his hair and then said he wanted to donate money to charity, and I thought it was a great idea.
Have you ever done this before?
No.
What was it like?
It was fun.
I would love to still keep the donations coming.
Okay.
If you feel like donating, please, by email, go to northbayfoodbank.ca, click on donate, you scroll down to the bottom of the page and say fill out the form. Please put my name under message so it'll be credited towards this fundraiser. And I ask other people to try and come up with some of their own ideas to raise money for the food bank.
And as I said, when we did that interview on Saturday afternoon, he was at 2,500. He told me as of Wednesday, it's almost 3,000. Time now for another edition of the Entertainment Insider with Adam Patrick Canton. This Wednesday, Adam Patrick takes a look at an interactive piece of media that's available on a popular streaming service.
Hello everybody, it's Patrick Conta, the Entertainment Insider. This week I'm looking at a different film from Netflix that was released over the weekend, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Kimmy versus the Reverend. You may not be familiar with the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt series on Netflix, but if you are, you probably know how hilarious of a sitcom it is. Written by Tina Fey and working with some incredible casting, this show had me in stitches for every season that Netflix presented it. Well, once it was over, they decided to move forward with a feature-length movie, but as with everything that involves the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, it was a little bit different. They decided to take a choose-your-own-adventure approach to the film, which is definitely unique, especially for comedy. This is not a new concept. It's been tried with other Netflix specials to great success, and now they're looking to do it with a comedy, which was kind of the intriguing aspect of this to me. It certainly, I think, would be more difficult to choose your own path on a comedy because you're really going to maximize more gags per choice, or at least I think that's the intention. So does it actually work? Well, I'll say this. I really enjoyed being a part of the story. I enjoyed having to choose which path these characters would take. And it definitely does add some replayability. As soon as I was done watching it, I really wanted to start it over and try some other path and see what other jokes and gags were waiting for me. This obviously isn't going to work for every film out there, and I definitely don't think it's going to be the wave of the future. I think it's really more of a gimmick than it is anything that's here to stay. But I will say this, for the right film, it could add some longevity and actually make it a really fun experience. I think anything that provides us with a little extra to do these days is probably a better thing. As for the performances, these characters are well worn. Everybody in here knows their roles and are performing them to the hilt. Everybody here is doing. They all fit like a comfortable old shoe, so to speak, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We recognize these characters from the sitcom. If you're not familiar with the show Kimmy Schmidt, you definitely don't need to be. There is actually a really funny gag at one point during the movie in which one of the characters...
Clark will have your weather forecast spelled F-O-R-E. He says, I'm in it in some capacity. Yes, weather with Clark being Clark right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here down at the Lakeshore Drive Golfing Facility driving range. I am here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Yes, golf courses and driving ranges across our region are open amid the coronavirus pandemic. Certain restrictions are in place. So this week is just going to be beautiful. Head on down to the driving range here. Say hello to Emily. She'll hook you up with a basket or two. $7 for the small, $11 for the large, and you will be good to go. Now this weather forecast, it's hard to describe just how perfect it is. It's like teeing off on a par 5 and hitting a straight one 300 yards. It's like shanking your first shot off a par 4 and then going from the sand trap to the green to make a birdie putt. It's that perfect. It's like getting a free coffee on a busy afternoon where you still have to work with Greg for the rest of the day. Oops, I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast to see just how perfect it is. Heading overnight on this Wednesday night, a cool low of 6, and the skies will be clear. And it's pretty much that way the rest of the way. The going rate, clear skies. Thursday, the 21st of May, a month away from summer. We're going to have summer-like conditions, high 23, low 8 with sun. More the same on Friday, a little warmer at night, 23 and 11 with sun. Saturday, guess what? Warmer still, 25, 14, sun. And on Sunday, we have a high of 25, low 15, a few clouds, but the sun will be shining quite bright. Turning the page back to the almanac on Tuesday, the beginning of the work week, we had a high of 18 and a low of 7. Pretty much normal. 19 and 7 is a normal high and low for this time of May. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. Be sure to yell out 4 if you're sending one the way of the Cape Paceway. Otherwise, enjoy the golf season. Do stay tuned. Greg Esterbrooks will have your sportscast right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
The only thing I want to ask in regards to the weather segment is who helped Clark during that segment? That's what I want to know. Some sports, as you saw as we went to break, are returning slowly but surely. Golf is one. Another one is tennis. The Granite Tennis Club opened on Holiday Monday, and they had a good turnout on that day, and that's a good sign. Now, changes, of course, have been made because of COVID-19, but the management is hoping for some semblance of a good season on the courts. The boys and girls of summer, no, not baseball, but tennis, were on the court at the Granite Club on this day. It's day 2 of the reopening of the club, but there are many restrictions in place because of COVID-19. Nevertheless, tennis, anyone?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that we're only allowing people to come and play one-on-one. Francois, who's our tennis pro, can give instruction, but the same is it's going to be private lessons, or anyone from the same household could come and use a court or take a lesson. So that's the big thing. And then we've taken precautions around the facility to have hand washing stations, allowing one person to come in the clubhouse for assistance at a time.
And on Monday, despite the fact that it was singles play only, they were busy.
Yeah, really good turnout. It was steady throughout the day. We had more than 50 people, which is pretty decent. We're using 5 courts and only 2 people can occupy a court at one time. The other thing that's different is typically our members would have a key and they'd access the courts whenever they chose, turn on the lights, let themselves in the washroom. There's a lot of self-sustainability typically around that. But now we're trying to monitor who's coming in, coming out. We're logging that so we know who's here, and we're supervising all the activity. So we're actually open more often than we typically would be.
As for league play and tournaments, sacrifices will have to be made.
One of our big centerpieces is our Wednesday night doubles league. We have 42 teams, I think, participated last year, so that's a no-go as of right now. We are thinking about getting a singles league started, as it can be played one-on-one and on a one-zone schedule.
That is it for news, weather, and sports for this Wednesday. Yes, Mr. Heupel and I will be playing some tennis, I believe. Right, Clark? He says yes. More Cogeco News live at 5 on Thursday. See you then.